Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is Daily FaB Gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either reinforce good play patterns or identify areas for improvement for the purpose of tightening and improving our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Skirmish and ProQuest season, and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny, shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny, shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, and you could receive bonus DFG content every week. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. I also now am on X, and if you would like to see memes, inane comments, and the occasional self-promotion, head on over to X and follow Lupine Fiasco. Now, without further ado, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. Playing against Victor, we are going to want to go second. This is a matchup where we do benefit from getting tempo on turn 2. If Victor does anything on turn 1, we can block. There are going to be hands where Victor does get to dominate with Macho Grande or play a 4-card pummel hand, but because we get to draw up at the end of his turn, hand disruption doesn't matter. And even Macho Grande says that we put a 3-block in front of it, take 5, and then still have tempo in the game. Our Victor sideboard does have us bringing in cast bones. We are looking to set up big turns against him. That means that we can block, play cast bones, arsenal something, pass the turn. It means that we can throw maybe an E-strike with go again, then play cast bones or pass. We can even chance it with a wild ride or a pulping, depending on the situation, to generate a might, then play cast bones. We want to take advantage of the fact that Guardian cannot necessarily convert 4-card hands into damage, and if we are not giving Victor the opportunity to block, then he may be stuck with Test of Strengths or Trounces that he can't do anything with besides pitch suboptimally. We also have a huge armor suite to block out in the face of a Command and Conquer, a Choke Slam, even Golden Sun, in order to protect our arsenal and our hand and throw a 5-card Blood Rush or a 5-card Cast Bones. We are just looking to play the tempo game. We're looking to eke out a life lead, take tempo with a big Cast Bones or Blood Rush turn, capitalize on having tempo while we look to set up our next one. So this is a bit of a patient game. We are looking to throw Go Again, Claw, Finisher, Cast Bones, Blood Rush, and just mitigate whatever Victor's doing until he has no resources left and we kill him. It's all very simple in principle. Victor, for the most part, is just blocking and attacking with one thing every turn. We get to take advantage of that, which we will attempt to do in this game now. Our hand is absolutely atrocious, and Victor is just passing the turn. So as much as you know that I hate rolling Scabskins, we are going to do it here because there just really isn't anything else to do with this hand. If we roll a 2 or a 3, we're probably just throwing Beast Within and pitching a Wrecker Romp, arsenaling a Pack Hunt. But we really are hoping to roll a 4 here, which we are lucky enough to do. So at this point, we're just going to Pack Hunt Beast Within. None of these cards are great in Arsenal. We could Arsenal a Pack Hunt and have a turn of Beast Within Mandible Claw pass, but I really don't mind just pushing 12 and getting these garbage cards out of our hand. The hand we draw into would have been really great last turn and is instead very bad here in the face of Weakest Link. We can't just take this. If we do, not only do we take 6, but Victor takes a Wild Ride from us and draws a card for the arsenal. So as much as it pains me to do, we are going to put armor in front of this Weakest Link, and that armor is going to be Bonebreaker, Sash, and Agile Windup. On our turn, we play Red Wild Ride, pitching Smash Instinct, hoping to keep our yellow Wild Ride to put in the arsenal, but if we discard the Wild Ride and draw a blue, something we don't want to arsenal, we just Mandible Claw. Bad timing there for the Weakest Link, and a bad hand for it to come into. We are lucky enough that we keep our Wild Ride, so we will just be arsenaling that here. Get 2 reds out of Victor, which is pretty cool. He does get to use the Spring Tunic to play a Choke Slam. Choke Slam here does threaten 8. It also turns off not only the buff that our Wild Ride would get from Might, but also the potential buff that we would get from Bare Fangs. And that is what will convince me to block here. If this Bare Fangs was another Swing Big, let's say, I would just take 8, I would lose my 1 point of value from Might, and I would respond with, hopefully, Wild Ride, Mandible Claw, Swing Big. Just throw a ton of damage, none of it cares about Chokeslam. But because I could be looking at a hand where I attack with Wild Ride, pitch a blue, draw a blue, discard Swing Big, and now my hand is absolutely terrible, I am inclined to block instead. We have a yellow Bare Fang, so what we can do is block with our 2 blues, then attack with Swing Big for 9. We hold on to our Wild Ride. We don't make a Might this turn, which is too bad, but we at least are not getting punished by the Chokeslam effect. You get to Swing Big for 9. Victor is going to block for 9, looking like he makes a Quicken and arsenals a card. So we are hoping to be able to entice him into blocking, as 5-card Victor with Go Again is actually very threatening. This line is going to be Wild Ride from Arsenal, pitching Wild Ride from hand. No matter what we draw, we get to E-Strike for 7. Hoping to keep an E-Strike or a Pulping so that we can set up another 5-card hand. In this case, we draw into another Pulping, so E-Strike for 7, Arsenal Pulping looks really good. We are putting Victor into a position where he could take 7, which is a lot for Victor. He does not have Tunic, so his options for his turn are limited if he just takes 7 here. We do, in fact, get 2 cards out of him. So the Quicken looking a lot worse now. Victor does get to E-Strike, draw a card. This hand is really good. It is not the sort of hand that makes me think, oh, I'm going to put a ton of blocks in front of this E-Strike. If I knew that Victor had a blue, I could think about blocking E-Strike for 6 and then blocking Hammer for 3, playing Cast Bones and passing. But this hand is fine. It gives us an interesting choice where we have a Pulping in Arsenal. We could take the 75% that we don't discard Cast Bones, because if we don't discard Cast Bones, our hand is in fact very good. That's what I'm leaning towards here. So at that point, if we aren't going to aggressively block, the next question is, are we blocking a little bit with Fleshbag? If this is a blue in Victor's hand, hitting him with the Fleshbag prevents 2 points of damage from the Fleshbag armor, 4 points of damage from the Titan's Fist follow-up, and forces Victor to either take an intellect penalty from not arsenaling, or to put a bad blue into his arsenal. That all being said, E-Strike Go Again Titan's Fist is 9 damage. We are looking at a pulping line that potentially leads into Cast Bones. I'm totally fine taking 9 here. And I like that play more than I like blocking 6, hoping that we get to block 3. It's sort of a risky line, but it also puts Victor into a position, if we miss on the pulping, that Victor does still need to give us 2 cards. So this is a bit risky, but I think it has a lot of upside, and we do get there, not only because the pulping hits, but because we draw a blue that is going to let us claw Pack Hunt. Also, notably, Victor did not have the blue for the Titan's Fist follow-up. So a risky line where maybe that card that he arsenaled was a sink blow and our pulping gets stuffed. At the same time, maybe it was not a sink blow and this was just all upside, which it does seem to be. So we have a choice between attacking with Pack Hunt for 6 to use all of our resources, or just playing Cast Bones and arsenaling the Pack Hunt, and that is a really interesting choice. We've already made a Might this turn, so Cast Bones just needs to reveal 5 hits instead of 6. Victor only has 3 cards. He does have Tunic up. There are lines that Victor could take that take advantage of 3 cards and Tunic, notably if he pitches a blue from hand to play Command and Conquer from hand and has Pummel in Arsenal. We do not have a meaningful way to interact with that. Our Fleshbag cannot bail us out. But the advantage of having Cast Bones in Arsenal is that any Wild Ride or pulping that we draw into suddenly becomes much better, because now we don't have that chance that we discard a Cast Bones to a Wild Ride or a pulping. We just get to play out the turn, then play Cast Bones. So based on what Victor has showed us, which is an arsenal that is not a blue card, and a willingness to go down to at least 3 cards total, makes me think that we're going to get more value out of pushing some damage here and arsenaling the Cast Bones than we will out of playing the Cast Bones and hoping to keep 5 cards. So Victor does take 6 to keep 3 cards. We get to arsenal a Cast Bones. And now we are in this position where we have to consider what this Command and Conquer means for us. What is unfortunate about this hand is that it does not have Go Again. So we don't get to benefit from having the Cast Bones, play that Wild Ride, get to play out a turn, and then Cast Bones. What does this mean if we get CNC pummeled? It means that we take 10. It means that we lose our Cast Bones and Arsenal. We probably lose a Riled Up. On our turn, we CNC for 7, Arsenal, run Roughshod, which is fine. Fleshbag can bail us out of the situation if we are putting Victor on having Pummel. The Pummel is in hand, so Fleshbag will move it to the Arsenal. Fleshbag will move it to Banish, which then moves it to the Arsenal. Problem is, our hand still doesn't have Go Again. We could block with Fleshbag, Bonebreaker, and a Riled Up, cover the 6, then do what? The answer that I think I'm looking for, much as I hate it, is to roll Scabs. I believe the line this turn is block Fleshbag, Bonebreaker, Riled Up, roll Scabs, hope to hit that 4. If I do, I get to CNC for 7, play Cast Bones, Arsenal run roughshod. Because our other line here, the line that plays around CNC pummel, is to block 12. Victor arsenals the pummel, which is terrible for us because it means that we can no longer flesh bag it. And then we just play cast bones and have a 4-card hand with hopefully having hit 6 hits from cast bones. And now we are mega vulnerable to pummel. Our third line, which I believe is the safest but also the worst, is to block with flesh bag and 2 blues, cover 8, which puts the pummel into arsenal, and then on our turn we just CNC for 7. And that feels really bad because Victor still has all of his armor. We aren't getting anything from him. That isn't true. We'll get a card from his hand. He'll give us a 3-block from hand and 2 pieces of 2-block armor. And then have a 4-card pummel hand for us, which really gives him so many more options to get value out of pummel. So if I'm making this call now, it's risky and I hate it, but I believe the line is to block with Fleshbag, Bonebreaker, Riled Up, cover 6, intimidate the pummel, then roll scabs, and just hope for the 4. And if we do hit a 2 or a 3, we just play CNC for 7, hold on to a run roughshod, and just deal with having eaten an intellect penalty. But this does suck. Not having go again in this hand is absolutely terrible. If this CNC was Wild Ride, Pulping, E-Strike, this would be an incredible hand, even if it was just Wind Up, so that we could claw, discard Wind Up, play Cast Bones. There are so many variations of hands in our deck that get us out of this situation that it is just incredibly unfortunate that we didn't draw any of those. And you can see me struggling with this decision because all of the lines are so bad. Overblocking is terrible. Having to roll scabs feels terrible. Blocking for 12, playing cast bones feels terrible. So this line is the safest without rolling scabs, and I really would have liked to roll scabs here. This was a situation where scabs was the only way out of this situation, because now we're dealing with the same hand from Victor, except that we know there is a pummel in arsenal. So Victor just hits us with E-Strike for 7. That's fantastic news. We don't need to concern ourselves with this because we have a blue. We get to play a Wild Ride. What I might want to do with this hand is actually, yes, block with the Assault and Battery, take 4 here, then pitch Yellow Bear Fangs to play Wild Ride, hope that we keep our Red Bear Fangs, and then play Cast Bones from Arsenal. And as I'm talking through it, I feel like that is the best line. If we keep our Assault and Battery, we pitch that, play Wild Ride, pitch one of our 2 remaining cards to attack with Mandible Claw, and then play the Cast Bones. Which is, fine. It's just, would we rather deal 3 damage or prevent 3 damage? Victor, unfortunately, wins his Clash. It's terrible for us. He gets to replace the card, his red, with a blue, which feels awful. We also know that we have a Blood Rush Bellow on top of our deck. On the one hand, cool, we know that we're not going to play this Bear Fangs. On the other hand, that sucks because we were already not going to play the Bear Fangs, and we know there's a miss on top of our deck for Cast Bones. So at this point, there are no good lines. We just throw the Mandible Claw, and we hope that there are 5 attacks on top of our deck. No, there are in fact 2 more Cast Bones. We have a Quicken, but how incredibly terrible is this? So now we are staring down Disable for 9, Victor floating a resource with the Tunic, with the Pummel that we know is in Arsenal. Disable is going to take away our Bear Fang. This is really the absolute worst case scenario that we could be in. We have a Blood Rush Bellow and a Bear Fangs on top of our deck, and we don't know in which order they come in. Considering that we are staring down 13 damage, discarding a card, and losing our arsenal, we are in an incredibly unfortunate spot. What I believe we should do is block this disable with our either Pack Hunt or Cast Bones, it doesn't matter. We get pummeled, so we will take 10 damage down to 16. We will lose our arsenal, and we lose either Cast Bones or Pack Hunt, whichever one we didn't block with. On our turn, we play Cast Bones, know that we will at least get one miss because there's a Blood Rush somewhere in the top 6 cards of our deck, but we at least still have the Quicken. We arsenal our Bear Fangs from hand, and we just hope that Victor cannot disrupt us again, or at least not in a meaningful way. So my line here is block 3, take 10. This I hate, because what this does is we lose our arsenal, we lose our Bear Fangs from hand. We'll still play a Cast Bones, but we know the Cast Bones isn't going to hit. We still have our Quicken, but still, I would trade 3 life for an arsenal, is what I'm getting at. The hand that we draw into, we have our Blood Rush Bellow. We know that there are 2 blues on top of our deck. It's taking me a minute to see it here, but it is 2 blue Mighty Windups. Having a Bear Fangs in Arsenal would be insane. We'll see exactly what kind of disruption we're looking at, but so far, I would much rather have a 5-card hand here. Victor throws Spinal Crush for 9. We are in a weird position where we still could have played this hand, actually. So if we had the Bear Fangs in Arsenal, what we do here is block with Bonebreaker, Scab Skin, and E-Strike. Then we pitch our windup, play our Blood Rush, discard our Bear Fangs, draw 2 blues. We can even break Sash if we want to, but we get to play Bear Fangs, hopefully discard one of the blues. We have lines available to us. What we have instead is Sadness. We are going to take 9, and what taking 9 does for us is it lets us E-Strike bottom Bear Fangs, choose +2. We're E-Striking for 12 total, 7 + 5. We discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, and we Arsenal Blood Rush Bellow. And we are just hoping for that 5-card Sash Blood Rush. We'll have Agility, hoping that Victor can't convert these 5 cards, or that he's just going to give us a bunch of cards to stop 12 damage. He does give us 3. We are going to clash. We do win this clash. We'll see if Victor wants to break gold. He does not, so we do just make a gold. Victor fortunately does not draw a card. He does have Might, so if he just pitches a blue for Titan's Fist, then we are taking 7. The hand we draw into is absolute garbage. 4 blues is not what we wanted to see. So I like blocking with leathers here. We just get our armor value. This isn't going to be a hand where we are playing our Blood Rush, hopefully drawing multiple reds. We do find 1. We float 2 resources. We have 3 blues, so we are going to break our gold as well. Draw into yellow Bear Fangs, which tells me that the line is very likely to be break Sash, play Bear Fangs, Mandible Claw, play hopefully a red that we draw, or play Pulping into a red that we draw. But at minimum, let's say we break Sash, Bear Fangs costs 1, Mandible Claw costs 3, 3 total, Pulping brings us up to 4, and then another blue is 6. So at minimum, if we just keep these 5 cards in hand after draw discarding twice, we do get to attack with Bare Fangs, Pulping, and one of our blues, as well as Mandible Claw. So this is a sash turn. Yeah, get the undo, break your sash. You do get to convert these 5 cards to offense if you break sash. Draw into Command and Conquer is sick. If we get to Claw, Pulping, CNC, that's fantastic. We know that Victor is committing cards to block already. Yes, he does get to break balance. But he is blocking the balance. If he gives us a card for Pulping, we're in a good position for this CNC to connect. We do lose the CNC, unfortunately, but we draw into a Wild Ride. Unfortunately, Victor has the Sink Below from Arsenal, gets to take the go again from the Pulping, but at the same time, we're looking okay. Tunic is not up yet. Victor only has 2 cards. The most he can really do here is Command and Conquer, which would be heartbreaking, but we potentially have outs. All we're looking at is a Titan's Fist for 4. We know that there are 2 Beast Withins still in our deck, and that we are going to play a Wild Ride from Arsenal to start our turn after the Blood Rush. So we can't just take the Titan's Fist, we do need to block with something. What I would like to do is block with Bonebreaker Leathers, go to 3, and then keep 4 cards. I hate blocking with Roughshod here, I don't know why I'm doing it. That just seems like a very bad line. Having an extra card in hand is just a better thing to do. I mean, if we have a blue in hand, this turn looks a lot better, because at minimum we get to Wild Ride, swing big. And if we keep, if we discard Beast Within, then we draw like just not having the run Roughshod here just seems absolutely terrible. I'm not sure what I was thinking. We do just lose the game. Wild Ride missing is the absolute worst thing that could possibly happen to us. So the game has now ended. Victor having the Sink Below. If we get to push 14 more damage here, 15 more damage even, between Mandible Claw and Swing Big, Victor gives us these last 2 cards in his hand plus armor, and we have tempo. We're looking fantastic, but the Wild Ride missing, extremely unfortunate. Maybe having Run Roughshod in our hand changes the odds of that, but still incredibly unlikely. And Victor does just get to Golden Sun us with Overpower, and we cannot block this. The most we can block is 5, and then we die. So, incredibly bad variance for us, basically this entire game. A hand without Go Again that really needed Go Again to function. Our Pulping on our first Blood Rush turn, getting stuffed by the Sink Below from Arsenal. Not incredibly unlikely. Victor is arsenaling D-Reacts specifically to stop Pulping. That's going to happen. Still just, we'll call that bad luck. But the Wild Ride draw discarding the Blood Rush that just happened to be on top of our deck, extremely unlucky. And we can't account for that. That will just lose you games. I wanted to watch this one back to see if I did stumble anywhere, if there was anything I could have done to mitigate some of the bad luck. I play these games ahead of time, so I knew how this one ended, which is why I wanted to see if there was anywhere where I could have played differently. The one line I did see was arsenaling the Bare Fangs on the disable turn instead of basically blocking for 3 instead of blocking for 6 and setting up a 5-card hand. Spinal Crush was going to put us in an awkward position, but it also would have meant that we had other lines available to us because we had a 5th card that would have given us some Blood Rush value. The other line leading into that Cast Bones, the CNC Pummel turn, was I really just need to be okay with rolling Scabs. Brute is a high variance deck. We just lost to variance. And I think Scab Skins would at least have put some of that variance back into my control. If we roll a 1 there, I mean, it isn't good. I would not say, cool, we're doing it. But I think the upside of rolling leathers there is just that much higher, given that our hand was kind of just bad. And the situation was bad, that Victor just happened to have CNC Pummel on a turn where we could not get ourselves out of a downside of being hit by it. So weird game for sure. I was happy to be able to play this one. These are the kinds of games that I do want to show you, where it just like bad stuff happens. We get the other side of the variance. I've shown you the games where we just roll the shit out of our opponents. The last Victor game I put up, we had 2 Castbones Blood Rush turns that were both insane. And this one, we got the other side of it, where things just didn't line up the way we needed them to. We had a Castbones that just got 3 value on its own, and then we couldn't attack the next turn. Like, just terrible. And that is how you're going to lose these games against Victor, is just through the tail end of variance. But even then, we had some outs, and I just didn't take them. So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. I know I did. If so, assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't done so, consider a YouTube subscription. It's free. It helps me out a lot. I have a Patreon. I have a Twitter. Those links are in the video description below. And until the next time I see you on Daily FaB Gameplay, take care.